All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 1 in a brand new best of 3. Spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map in the DSCL Group B. Oops, sorry, I got turn sends on and off. It's going to be the Blue Protoss, ESV's Fear.
In the top right is the Red Protoss. It's Spacemarine.
Now, I don't know how long ago it was, but Spacemarine has actually been kind of an, I guess, notorious twerp in his past life, we'll say. I know he's a younger kid in the first place, but he's been rather rambunctious when it comes to harassing other players and streamers. I haven't cast him in a year, almost specifically avoiding him in tournaments because I did not want to cast him. So here's my fingers crossed, hoping that we've got a slightly more mature player, someone who can perhaps give us some decent games and not make me want to turn off my own stream.
Oh, what a lovely introduction of this player.
I just want people to remember that if you're going to be a shit to other streamers, people don't forget about it. I actually, there is actually a very particular line here. We'll talk about like bad manners and some trash talk when it comes between players, but I think it's kind of like all that stuff is within the game. You've got the emotions running high and best ofs, but the second you take that out of game and you start making things personal and you publicly make them personal, I think that's when you really cross the line when it comes to anything, not just StarCraft 2.
Sure. Makes sense. I don't know specifically what you're talking about, so I feel kind of out of the loop here.
It's okay. I'm not bringing attention to it in a big way. I'm just saying I'm not playing passive aggressive here. I am saying that I truthfully hope we've got a much, I guess, better / more mature player on our hands, like in all sincerity.
All right. Well, since I don't really know what this is all about, I'm gonna say that maybe I'll see the maturity in his play, and maybe he'll be a really good player. I don't know. But it is a PvP, which you don't see much of anymore, because it's passing so many Legacy of the Void, and then just the best 69 was about 54 TBZs. So.
Oh god, did you see? Bunny's playing a best of 9 versus Hydra on Friday. Like, yo, buddy, how are you not sick of that matchup right now?
I mean, after a best of 69, a best of 9 just seems like a problem.
Yesterday legitimately felt, by the way, incredibly short to me. Did it feel like that to you? And I was kind of joking that thinking we'd go into it.
Okay. The casting felt really short. That is true. But the rest of my day felt hella long. I kept on being like, what time is it? It's only 7 o'clock. Oh, what time is it? It's only 7:30. Oh.
Like, oh gosh, what do I do with the rest of my year?
I just didn't know what to do with my life. And I eventually ended up, as I told chat, just like dancing in my room. Because I had so much free time. Yeah.
Well, gotta give some big love to Mito Meninen. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Too many repeating letters at the same time. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. You sir are a true hero. By the way, just a quick note for our subscribers. We have not sent out the best of 69 replay pack because, quite frankly, I just haven't had time to collect 69 replays. But we do plan to share that exclusively with our subscribers. So in the next couple of days, keep an eye on your inbox. A nice, I was going to say little, but honestly a huge package coming your way. Like 69. Okay, actually it was like what, 54 games or something. That's still like that's like 4 or 5 tournaments worth of replays. I'm just throwing that out there in context.
It's a big package. It's a best of 69. You know?
You can always has a big package when it comes to best of 6.
By the way, do you want me to do that then? Package them all up. Give it to
you. Hey, if you're willing, I'm not gonna say no. I just have been too busy cutting up the VODs with Jacques. We actually have all the games cut up, by the way, and we started uploading to YouTube. And I think one of the comments I got last night was like, "Buddy, are you seriously gonna upload all 69? Please don't." But yo, Fear with the Proxy Stargate, not quite done yet. I mean, I'm a little curious about this, right? Because he's going for Blink behind it. So what's the investment going to be? It might just
Voidra. Well, no, maybe an Oracle, just get the backstab.
Right, so I was thinking like you distract the Stalkers in the front, you play that Blink micro, you have the army fighting you up here, you send the Oracle to the main, bam, bam, boom, you've done a ton of damage. But alternatively, a Void Ray could work out as well. If they're going Immortals like they are, and you predict typically they're going to go Immortals to counter your Stalkers, a Void Ray's not going to get touched.
I like this type of PvP is always a great matchup because there's a lot of different builds. There's a whole variety of builds, and at the very least, they're being Protoss to each other, right? No Terran bias here. Just really cool to see something like this. He doesn't even seem to need the Stargate though. He just blinks on top of the Immortal, but I don't think he has enough Stalkers to really do anything more. He's got to back out.
High ground vision.
Up. He's barely had the high ground vision.
Wait, how did he get high ground vision? The air units weren't out yet.
It was just barely there.
I guess, yeah, the Stalker's probably clipping through the edge of the force field or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so here comes the Oracle. You know, the big thing was he caught the he got the Mother 3/4 waste of the photon overcharges here in the natural. So if this army, and it will take like approximately 2 to 3 Stalkers to deal with this, if the army has to leave, he can't win the fight in the front. If the army stays in the front, he loses the probes in the back. This Oracle is disgusting, but it might just be game winning here for Fear.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that most people just don't notice this happening as they're so focused in the main. So like, whether or not they have the unit to do it, and he just notices only after warping in a Zealot in the natural. So he's already used like, you know, a third of his production to do that. Don't know what else is looking like. He's also running out of money as he had to mine. You know, now he's gonna be on like 1 base mining, which is gonna really cut into the regularity of his income, I guess you could put it. Does go back, but the Oracle's always going to be there. As long as Fear doesn't forget it, then it's always going to be a problem, and at the very least, it's going to be 2, 3 Stalkers that aren't defending the front.
That high ground vision for the blink, though. Sadly, that will put blink on cooldown for this fight.
Oh,
Gonna focus on the Immortal again. I gotta get out of there.
He only lost 1 Stalker. For facing 3 Immortals, I think that went surprisingly well. That could have gone much worse.
Well, yes and no, because I mean, let's not forget, behind all this, Fear still on 1 Nexus. So he's not really done enough damage to disengage from this, to go back home and try and like out-macro his opponent. He's still very much so all in.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. But I mean, like, if he had lost, you know, 5 Stalkers there, that's like a tap-out point, you know? Like, 3 Immortals usually does wreck through Stalkers pretty easily. Never really get up to a very high count either. He's been warping in Zealots, which they're not necessarily that bad, because of course they're going to distract the Immortals. They take a lot of shots from the Immortals.
That was like 2 time warps ready to go as well. I think he was going to try and distract in the front and then go blink through the back, but the Zealots getting on top of the Immortals present a great opportunity to remove these from the equation. But of course, blink is always going to win versus no blink. Difference is there's still a couple of Zealots on the ground here for Spacemarine. As he pushes this back, he's got a bit of buffer, but while this goes on, Fear does try and get a Nexus up. His probe count is ahead of his opponents, not that he can use it more effectively right now, and the Oracle's gotten about 12 kills behind the scenes while this has been going on. I do, again, kind of wonder, like, would a Void Ray have done a lot more?
Maybe.
I just feel with the Stalkers being forced, like, because Space Marine has no blink. If there's, like, a Void Ray in the equation, and I'm not saying, like, Void Ray instead of the Oracle, I'm saying a Void Ray behind the Oracle, like, you're either shelling away at the Immortals for free, you're blowing up Stalkers, or you're using Force Fields to make sure they can't chase you, because, again, they got no blink. I would have loved to have seen that as a follow-up, but I mean, this isn't being played too poorly either. Again, with the Nexus coming up at home, he actually now has a chance to play this game out.
Yeah, I think without getting the Immortals and whatever, like the 1 2 of the units that he got with those really great force fields, he would be in a very tough position. Now he's honestly looking kind of okay. The Immortal count was reset, which would have been the scariest thing, besides just having the lower economy for longer, so that you don't have any of the beefier units. But you know, he's ready to break down the rocks to buy him, you know, 30 more seconds, need be. I don't think he's feeling that bad. I mean, I don't know if he's noticed that he's had more probes at some point after the Oracle got now 13 kills. But he did have a probe lead, if not, you know, correctly mining on 2 bases.
Well, I like the hallucinations coming out of Space Marine. He definitely needs to keep an eye on what his opponent's doing. Knowing, for example, that Fear's on 2 bases really does change how he's going to play versus how counter all-in may have been in store. Nice use of the rocks here. That's kind of cute.
Oh, it's really nice. I'm not sure why Space Marine is warping in Stalkers. I guess, again, for the Oracle. But now, it's just, these Stalkers later on are getting, you know, more and more useless, especially if they don't have Blink. You know, in a desperate scenario, you might be able to blink, like, to the left of a Colossus and distract the fire and take it down as the game goes on. But, you know, how many does he have right now? He has 8 blinkless Stalkers. They just don't seem like going to be that useful as the game goes on with the 3 bases, Colossus. I mean, Fear is also adding in those Immortals that he has missed going for the opener that are really gonna wreck a Stalker-heavy army.
Well, I agree that Stalkers are not as good going to the late game. Big part of it is the fact that they eat into your gas, but with probe counts being decent, both of them moving towards Colossus tech, they're both going to reach that critical mass. And I think one of the big things we're going to see is that difference in layering, where maybe Space Marine ends up having like 4 less zealots to be in that layer because they went for Stalkers instead, or this, that, and the other. And there's a lot of very subtle intricacies that come towards that Protoss death ball. I think a lot of us who don't play Protoss like to think, LOL, they just make Colossus an A move, but that's really, especially in PvP, not the case at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a sick deny. Oh, he gets it!
Nice. And a zealot. There's less energy. There you go. The, a lot of Protoss, just in general, but also, of course, PvP, is just defending until you get that perfect composition. And then, yeah, the battle might be a little A movie, pew-pewy, but even then, like, Rain would win games in PvP that were, other people would definitely mess up on because he would bother splitting his Colossus ever so slightly, or would bother having the correct composition and whatnot. So it looks like it might get to that point. They're both pushing out, but I feel like at least Fears is a kind of a fake. I mean, he's the one getting a third base right now. Spacemarine, I think, still wants to go for one.
This like walk by is gonna be pretty nice. Fear forced to respond to it.
Yeah.
Pardon me,
well,
Space Marine. I'm a little surprised he chose to blink back. He could have definitely walked those out of the base, I feel.
Probably. The army, I think, anticipated that, so was in a position to stop them. So I guess he wanted to take whatever he could with it. More Stalker opens, too. I don't know. But Fear, giving away Blink Stalkers is what you want to do eventually, and especially if you can get into the main base and get some probes, and that's amazing. But he might have just given away a chunk of his army that he needed, no matter if it was good or not. I mean, that was in the end units. And Space Marine is really looking to attack. Fear has eyes on both thirds. So Space Marine tried once to expand. I guess he gave up on that idea. And is just gonna try and win.
And it's really unfortunate too, because this isn't one of those thirds that has cost Fear, a good chunk of his army. As we see, like, earlier bases tend to mean you've got less army supply, so you topple over much quicker. They're both on 3 Colossus. Fear does have slightly less zealots, but coming into a choke, that might not matter.
Yeah. And Fear has... He doesn't have eyes on the army exactly, but he can kind of anticipate where you're going to go. I mean, it's expedition loss. It's over here, it's over to the right. So if he can catch him on any type of ramp or choke, then he can certainly take a defensive fight. And honestly, it's getting to that point where he can take more than a defensive fight. I mean, his +2 is going to finish up here. He's going to have charge over his opponents. I think the Colossus count is even. Yeah, the 4th one only just popped out for Space Marine.
Charge is a pretty big deal, but being in position for a fight certainly is too. I like the spread of the Colossus out of Space Marine, but Defender's Advantage is going to be a hell of a thing to overcome here. Photon Overcharge helping a ton with damage. Colossus on the left falls, Immortals focus firing the one on the right, and Space Marine just loses everything.
Yeah. Even a 4th Colossus popping out to help. GG.
Oh, who's this? Jumper Legs in chat, by the way, says, I'm a computer tech at an elementary school, but I mostly just watch base TV.